This is the wet weather TDML sampling training. I am Molly, the environmental health educator, and I will be narrating this training for you. We're going to begin the training by talking about points for sampling. Refer to the TDML sampling plan. This plan is available on the Health Department's website under the Stormwater Program's Partner Resources. The table associated with your organization will show a list of the required sampling points for this permit cycle. Permit cycles are 5 years in length, and we ask that you sample your points as soon as possible to ensure that successful sampling is completed within the cycle. Before sampling, visit the outfall that you intend to sample. This will be your sampling point. Ensure that the site is safe and accessible. If the site is not accessible, take photos to document the site's condition. You will need this documentation later. Also, make note if sampling tools are necessary. You may need a toss can or a pole to be able to reach the site. Review all of the wet weather screening documents, prepare your collection materials, and make sure that the staff that are going to be completing the sampling are trained in the TDML sampling collection procedures and safety. Collection materials you will need are gloves, a rain jacket, 100 milliliter sterile sample bottles, one for each sampling point, labeling tape, possibly a sampling device, pending what your site requires, a cooler, an ice pack, and the TDML screening log, which you can download off of our website. The Wet Weather TDML Screening Checklist. We recommend that you use this screening checklist for every rain event between May 1st and October 31st. This documentation is necessary in the event that sampling is not completed. After successfully sampling a point and receiving acceptable results, you may discontinue recording on the screening checklist for each rain event. Weather conditions. The sampling season is from May 1st to October 31st. In order to sample, there must be a 72-hour dry period prior to rainfall. Adequate rainfall must occur, that is, rainfall greater than 0.1 inches. Only sample in safe weather conditions. Do not sample if the weather is dangerous, such as thunderstorms, flooding, etc. Use advanced weather planning. Monitor the weather. Decide the time that's best to collect your sample and be prepared to do so. Do not sample in dangerous weather conditions. The St. Clair County Health Department will be your laboratory. We anticipate opening in June of 2025. For all rain events that occur prior to June of 2025 when the laboratory is open, select that the lab was unavailable for sampling. The new health department location will be 220 Fort Street. This is where the samples will be brought. The lab hours are Monday through Thursday, 8 a.m. to 4:00 p.m. Please call the lab in advance to let them know that you intend to bring in a sample. The lab must receive the sample within 6 hours of collection. The sample must be clearly labeled. The label should have the outfall ID, the time that the sample was taken, and the organization who collected the sample. The sample must be stored in a cooler with an ice pack from the time of collection until it is received by the lab. The picture on the right shows the TDML screening log. This will be brought with you when you deliver your sample to the lab. The lab will make a copy of the TDML screening log, and you will retain the original screening log for your records. Review the wet weather TDML screening guide. Notify the lab of an incoming sample. Arrive prior to the rain event with any sampling materials that you may need. Wait for the stormwater to flow. The sample must be taken within the first 30 to 60 minutes of flow that is also called the first flush. Following the sampling guidelines, collect the sample, store the sample in a cooler with an ice pack, complete all associated documentation, that will be the screening checklist and the sample log, and deliver the sample to the lab, bringing the TDML screening log. Wet weather outfall sample collection. Dress appropriately. Put on fresh latex gloves for each sample being collected. Samples should be collected using the provided 100 milliliter sterile bottle. If you need additional bottles, contact the St. Clair County Health Department. The bottle's cap should remain uncontaminated throughout the sampling process. The bottle should be filled but not overflowing with water. If the bottle is overfilled or becomes compromised during the sampling process, a new bottle should be used. Make sure you label the samples. There are 2 videos available that will be in the comments section of this video. We suggest that you watch them to see a demonstration of someone collecting a sample from an outfall. The first video shows an outfall where the water will be free-flowing in the sample collection process, and the second video shows a culvert where the water is running into a stream. These videos will show you how to get a clean and effective sample. The Michigan guidelines say that you need a 72-hour dry period prior to collecting your sample. Adequate rainfall, which is greater than 0.1 inches of rain, must occur, and the sample must be collected within the first 30 to 60 minutes of a rain event, or the first flush. Your sample results will be read about 18 hours after the sample is processed. The health department staff will contact the organization within 3 business days with the results. If the results are elevated, action will need to be taken. Results above 1,000 E. coli per 100 milliliters will require the implementation of BMPs around the affected structure. BMPs are best management practices. You're going to follow up with a second sample after you've had an acceptable amount of time to put best management practices in place. Documentation. Use the wet weather TDML screening checklist for documentation purposes. Organizations are responsible for their own documentation. We recommend that this is completed for all rain events from May 1st to October 31st. An organization may elect to discontinue documenting rain events after they have successfully completed the sampling process and received acceptable results. The St. Clair County Health Department will document and maintain the sample results. The organization should retain and document the results on the TDML screening log. If the sample produced elevated results, the organization will need to document the best management practices that were implemented. If the outfall is not able to be sampled due to physical conditions, document the outfall's condition with photos and the date or dates of the visits. Thank you for viewing this training. My name is Molly, and I'm the Environmental Health Educator. I am here to help you with any of your questions throughout this process. You can reach me by telephone at 810-987-5300, extension 1486, or at mbrown@stclaircounty.org if you'd like to send an email. Thank you very much for your time.